So in your speech, you talked a lot about the like the great things that the IVP does and has been doing. Are there any things that you think she could have improved on this year, or anything like concrete that you have in terms of new ideas?
I touched upon having more expansion on the intern program, right? I think it's really important that they're not just given like grunt work, like here, bring these boxes over there, because I don't feel like that's super helpful in terms of their growth as leaders. I think Michelle did a really great job of integrating them into the eBoard like community, but I feel like if we gave them the space to really expand upon their ideas in board meetings, for example, and have like an intern corner and give them like the time during meetings to act upon what they discuss in their own meetings. Because sometimes when I go to board, I don't realize that interns have their own meetings during the week, but I hear nothing about them. Only occasionally maybe. But it would be nice to hear like weekly updates on interns and what they have in mind, because I do believe that they're the future of feedback and they should be heard. Yakman?
How would you resolve a conflict between an intern and an e-board member?
An intern and an e-board member. So I think, of course, it depends on what that conflict is, but the first thing is to garner as much information as I can, right? And so talk to the intern first, talk to the e-boarder, and see whether it's a conflict that I need to resolve individually, or have them together to see what's the conflict, to see if it's something that they need to talk out and that I need to facilitate. But of course, it's like a case-by-case thing. Matt?
Outside of the internship program, what other programming ideas can you implement as IVP?
I think office hours are fun. I like going to them, but one of the problems that I had with office hours is timing. Sometimes I couldn't make them, so I feel like one thing we could do is at the beginning have like a pull out to see what days would work for everybody, and if those like resonate with my availability, then of course I'll implement them. Otherwise, I feel like if other e-boarders were available to have office hours, then that would be fun, like to have other people, to host them. But of course, ultimately they would be my responsibility. Yes.
You notice an e-board member is slacking off. How would you deal with that situation?
I think effective communication is very important. And so if I do notice that it's a problem, that there's no response, then of course I'm going to message them in the mode of communication that I think best works for them. Whether that is texting, calling, see them in person if I know their schedule, or like, if it's that important, then I feel like it's better not to talk behind their back to other people and just talk to them like directly. That's that.
Can you say anything about other leadership experiences you've had and how they relate to being the IVP for Troy Philippines?
Yeah, this past year I also was on Officer Council for the Society of Women Engineers, and I was on the Operations Committee, which is the behind-the-scenes kind of thing for all of the general meetings. And so we had weekly meetings on how to structure those. The general meetings for SWE, for those who don't know, are once a month, and SWE is the biggest engineering organization on campus, and so those require a lot of organization. So we have a Slack channel in which we communicate with each other. So, I don't know. For me, I did the same thing that I did for PR this year, which is coordinate events and stuff. So most people would come to me with logistics, and I would set up the event, invite everyone, and remind everybody else on Officer Council, which is about 40 of us, to share it with their friends and have all the logistical things. Yeah, just.
How do you resolve conflict between board members, or it's one-on-one, or like if it's divided at one point, how would you approach that?
Okay, I talked about this earlier, but I feel like depending on what the conflict is, I'll deal with it one person at a time, or I'll bring both of them together to see if it's something that I need to facilitate between them, and let them then have the capacity to speak to each other. If not, then I'll be the one to deal with it separately, have them come together.
Last call for questions.
I really liked what you said about like increasing the communication between like e-board and interns. How would you go about like going 1 degree further and like increasing the communication between like general members, interns, and e-board?
What do you mean?
Like, how would you listen, like what you're saying, that's so important, like listening to the general members and their needs too?
And that's one of the things that I talked about earlier for office hours, being more available, right? And not making members accommodate to me, but letting myself be flexible enough to accommodate members. And of course, I'd, at the beginning, say, hey, you have my email, you have my Facebook, you can always reach out to me no matter what. No matter where I am on campus, just pull me aside as long as I don't have class. But even if I do have class, if it's something that is important to you, if it's important to someone in your life, then I'll make priorities.